Hi, I'm Carol Allen with loveisinthestars.com, and today I just wanted to tell you briefly about something that may be affecting you. So, the planet Saturn in astrology is considered the planet of focus, discipline, restrictions, has a lot to do with ambition because it's the planet of focus and discipline. Well, whenever Saturn is doing something really big in the sky, we all will feel it. And right now it's doing two really big things. It's retrograde and it's switching signs. And it's going from the sign of Aquarius, retrograde back into the sign of Capricorn, where it has mostly been since January of 2020. Now, this is according to Vedic astrology, which is the system of astrology of ancient India and uses different calculations. So you may be sitting there going like, what is she smoking? She's totally wrong. So I'm not talking about Western astrology. I'm talking about Vedic astrology. So just suspend what you know, if you know anything about astrology, for the next several minutes. So in Vedic astrology, which uses something called the sidereal zodiac, which means based on the stars, Saturn is switching signs and retrograde. And this has been going on for the last couple of weeks, and it will retrograde back from the sign of Aquarius into Capricorn on July 11th. And when a planet is switching signs, whatever that planet represents tends to get a little weaker or a little more elusive, or it can feel less available to all of us. So if you're feeling like you have no motivation or no discipline, or you can't get anything accomplished, or if you're really reevaluating your life and you're going like, is this all there is? Is this enough? Is this working for me? Is this what I really want? Then you are right on schedule, because this is what happens when Saturn is both retrograde and switching signs. And so right now, like I said, it's at the very, very beginning of Aquarius, traveling back into the very end degrees of the sign of Capricorn. And then it's going to stay in the sign of Capricorn until the middle of January of next year. And even though you might not be a Capricorn, you might not be an Aquarius, you might not have any major placements in these two signs, the themes of this affect all of us, both on the, world level, on the macro level, and then on the individual level, on the micro level. So what I'm hearing from people is, like I said, they're just feeling kind of blah. They're doing a lot of reevaluating. They're doing a lot of kind of questioning, and things can feel murky. Now, on the world stage, when planets switch signs, especially the major, large, slower ones like Jupiter, the nodes of the moon, which we call Rahu and Ketu, and then Saturn, when they switch signs, world events tend to be a bigger, more obvious, noticeable deal, and things happen in a bigger way. So we're seeing a lot of drama in American politics, kind of like always, but to a bigger extent. One of the things that's interesting about Saturn is Saturn rules in astrology and regulations and sanctions and tightening of the belt. And Saturn specifically rules the stock market. So since Saturn has been, retrograding and switching signs, which truthfully it's been doing on and off the last couple of months, because it's been at like 0 degrees, 1 degree, 0 degrees of Aquarius. So anytime a planet is, at the very end of a sign or the very beginning of a sign, it's considered switching signs, or what's called Sandhi in Vedic astrology. So this whole time we have seen the markets tighten. We have seen, the abundance of the last several years get a little more uncertain, right? Interest rates are going up, inflation is going up, the stock market is coming down, and these kind of buoyant bubbles that we have had. We've had a bunch of bubbles at once. We've had a housing bubble, a stock market bubble, a digital currency bubble. They're all having trouble now. And that makes perfect sense. The other thing that's interesting is Saturn is the planet of rules and restrictions and regulations. And Capricorn is the sign of the government. And when Saturn moves into Capricorn, we see governments impose stronger rules and regulations. So, of course, January of 2020 was when Saturn moved into Capricorn. And by the way, Saturn takes 30 years to go around the zodiac. So it hadn't been in the sign of Capricorn prior to 2020 for 30 years, right? So what did we see? We saw government restriction and regulation all over the world like we've never seen before. Now, I'm not here to argue or debate if that's been the right thing that should have happened, the wrong thing. I'm just here to say we've never seen rules and regulations like we have seen, certainly not in my lifetime. And so with Saturn moving back into Capricorn, this is part of why we're seeing a lot of intense evaluation of the government, and we're seeing a lot of laws coming down from the highest legal body in the land, and we're seeing a lot of concern around these topics and around democracy itself. Saturn happens to be astrologically the planet of democracy and the planet of the common man and the planet of the common man having a voice in government. And so it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. Now, all the way through July, Saturn is going to be at the very end of Capricorn. So the themes of Saturn being switching signs are really up, not just now, but till really the end of July. And so that whole time, you might be feeling, again, like more heavy, more serious, more like you're trying to figure things out, or you're evaluating things, or you're questioning what you're doing. Now, this does affect certain signs more than others, but again, the themes of this will affect everybody. The signs the most affected by this are, of course, the signs that Saturn is in or is right next to. And so Saturn has been, since late April, in the sign of Aquarius. It's now moving back into Capricorn. And from Capricorn, it also affects the sign right before Capricorn, which is, of course, Sagittarius. And so if you have the sun, the moon, or the rising sign in the signs of Sagittarius, Capricorn, or Aquarius, you're going to be feeling this the most. And if you have planets in the signs opposite Sagittarius, Capricorn, or Aquarius, especially Capricorn and Aquarius. So the signs opposite that are Cancer and Leo. And this is because when a planet is in a sign, it really affects that sign, but it also really affects the sign opposite in the sky. It's sort of like having, the boogeyman looking straight at you from across the street. That's a good analogy for that. So, now if you don't know if you have anything in those placements in Vedic astrology, because the calculations, like I said, are different, I actually have a little chart creator page you can go to, which is at loveisinthestars.com, /chart creator. loveisinthestars.com /chart creator. And if you know your birthday, birth time to the minute, and birth city, you can look up your chart. And I highly recommend you do. And check out if you have the sun, the moon, or the rising sign in the signs of Capricorn or Aquarius. Now, if you have the rising sign in Capricorn or Aquarius, you have been feeling this in terms of questioning your path in life, or your persona, or what you're here for, or how you're supported or not, or how the world sees you or not. If it's been going through your moon sign, then you've really been reevaluating your family relationships, your attachments, And your romantic life might feel either harder than usual or non-existent. You might feel like you're a little bit in the, what I call the 40 years in the desert cycle, right? Where you're just kind of lost and roaming around, looking for the promised land, so to speak. If it's in your sun sign, if your sun sign is Capricorn or Aquarius, you've been really, really working like never before. You have been so focused on career, so focused on achievement, and you're either feeling like the weight of the world from all the opportunities that have come, or you're feeling like your opportunities are just not coming. Like you just feel kind of on hold or stagnant, and like support professionally is harder to come by. So Saturn makes it so things tend to slow down so that we will really make sure that what we're doing is really right. And so sometimes when everything's coming at us and it's going well or it's going quickly, we don't so much take the time to really ask ourselves the big, is this what I want questions. And so the gift of Saturn is he forces us to ask ourselves the really big questions. But sometimes that forcing is from making things slow down. Now, the other thing, if it's your sun sign, is Saturn is the planet of discipline, like I said, and focus, and the sun is the health. And so when Saturn's in your sun sign, you might find that you're really focusing more on your health because you have to. So things that before you could get away with, you can't anymore. And things that before weren't bothering you might be bothering you now. And so the gift of Saturn is we get awareness and we get clarity of what we need to take care of, what we need to handle. And if we take the right steps, we can turn things around for the better, and we can actually be healthier than ever, more successful than ever. And we really plant the seeds that tend to set up the rest of our life to be much better later. So think of it like a seed planting, soil tilling, weed pulling kind of time, and harvest is down the road. So whenever Saturn's around, you got to take like the big picture, long-term perspective, and you got to just do it one step at a time, one day at a time. So anyway, I'm going to write a newsletter next month about how each of the signs will be affected by Saturn switching signs. But I just wanted to let you know, if you're feeling sort of blah, if you're feeling sort of heavy, if you're feeling like nothing's moving forward, like you can't keep doing things the way you've been doing them, then congratulations. You are in touch with the solar system and you are feeling the vibes of the universe. And this, like everything, will pass, and we will all feel better later on. So be sweet with yourself, be gentle with yourself, and try to not freak out too much about the world, because the world's going to be a little nutty for a while. I can officially predict that. Anyway, thank you for listening. God bless. Until next time.